Hi, this is Belinda from Belinda Lee Briggs Web Design, and what I'm going to do is go through and show you how to set up an ad on Pulse. And so what I'm first showing you is what that ad looks like. So we've put one in this article here. And if you scroll down, you can see we waited till the person was engaged in the article and probably starting to think about, is this a program that I'd be interested in? And here we've got this ad where we're inviting them to explore the program and capturing them with a nice headline. And then this button actually pops up a window for them to fill out their information and submit it. And then they can X out if they're not interested and didn't want to go on, or they could have hit that submit button. And so I'm going to show you how to do this. You can put one of these on any page in Squarespace, be it a blog page as this one is done on, or just any other regular page. So what I will start with is showing you how to set it up. If you come into Pages when you log into Pulse, and you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see that here's the ad code and instructions. This is hidden from Google. It can't find it, but you can actually type that ad code URL into the Pulse URL here. You could add ad-code and it would bring up these instructions. So I'm just going to run through really quickly. I'm going to show you how to prepare your pop-up form and locate that URL slug. And then I'm going to have you come back to this page and you're going to copy this code here. And I like to use a simple WordPad or Notepad to do that. The next step will be then to take that URL slug. We're going to find the code that is open caret ahref quotes, and we're going to change the text that follows this hash mark Lightbox underscore to include the URL we copied in step 1. And you can see that is right here. So we are pasting that URL slug right onto here. The next step is going to be changing the class for the ad headline to display the headline size that you'd like. Options are add headline medium, add headline large, and add headline small. The reason why I started out with add headline medium is that's what's actually in here as default. So you're coming into the div that has the class add-headline, and you're finding this right here. Whoop. And if you would prefer it to be a different size, which you could copy from here, or you could probably just copy from here. I'm in edit mode, that's why it kind of did that to me. But you would change this word medium to small or large. So medium, just for reference, is this size headline. What I'd recommend is that to use large, you would want to have only 3 or 4 words and probably only 1 line of wrapping text to use the large headline. And then if you had more than 3 lines, if you had 3 or 4 lines, I would recommend that you switch to the small headline, just because the button really needs to be the main focal point. We would be overwhelming that button if we had lots of lines of text and they were all this size. Okay, so once you've got that set up, you will change the headline text and the button text as you desire. So this is the current headline. You would just highlight this, delete it, and type in between this caret and this caret mark. So you're going to type right over there whatever you want that headline to be, this section being the headline. And then you would come in to the button. So here we're in the div for the button. And here you can see this is what the button says now. It says explore the program. There it is. And so you would change the button text to say whatever you wanted. So now we've pointed ourselves to a Lightbox form. We've changed the button text and the headline. And the last step is to, not the last step, but the last kind of phase is to open up the page you want the ad to appear in. Well, first of all, we're going to copy all of this. Now that we've gotten it all edited, we're going to go from here to here and copy that whole thing. Then we're going to open up the page that we want it displayed on, and we're going to add a code block. So normally we would add a text block or a button block or some other things you're probably familiar with. Another option for adding is the code block, and then we're going to actually move that into the location that we want it to appear in, and then we're going to paste this code into that code block, and then we're going to save it. And then what I would recommend is that you open it in a separate window just to test to see how it looks. Now note that this will change. A little tool I use is to right click and inspect in the Chrome browser, and it lets me look and see what this would look like if we were on, say, an iPhone 6. So it kind of goes off over into the margin there. Probably not ideal, but we are getting the button. So this might be something we're going to worry about when we're on mobile. And again, this isn't 100%. And so you can see how it looks. I may have to adjust the coding. So that is it in a nutshell. So let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to come in and show you. So the very first step was to prepare your pop-up form. So here I've created a folder called Pop-Up Marketing Forms, and you can see this is the MSUS interest form. And so a really easy thing to do would be to come in here and say duplicate page. And then you would come in and you would edit the form. One of the most important things about this form is you want to make sure, number one, that you've edited the form fields. And for instance, this one has some options to it. You want to make sure you are editing options, adding or editing and deleting options, and changing those out. So you want to make sure, number one, that your form fields are what you're looking for. And number two, you want to make sure that it's being stored where you want them. So I have these forms being sent to, completed forms being sent to the communications email and also saved to a Google Drive. And that's something that you would 100% want to make sure you're getting them emailed to the right person. So once you've got your form set up, you would just save, which I'm not going to do because that's already in there. And you can also point to this one pop-up for more than one ad. So if you had a few sustainability blog posts that you wanted to point to here, you can absolutely do that, point more than one of those ads to this same form. So the next thing you would do is come in to Pulse Stories, and you would just edit the post that you want to add it to. And you would find, okay, where do I want this to go? Take a look. Maybe before this question about unwinding and fun for the summer, and maybe a little bit more about her internship, because maybe that's where interest is going to spark. So let's see. So I'm going to click this plus sign, and I'm going to add a code block. You can also just start to type code up here in the search bar, and that will bring it up. So the next thing we want to do is highlight all of this and paste, not those steps. We actually wanted to have pasted the code from the other that we had gotten. So let's head back out there and let's grab that code. Okay, so we're heading back into here, the add code instructions. Now you would have done this in Notepad because you would have wanted to change out the headline, probably the button text, and also the form, the URL slug that it's pointing to. But we are just going to, for the sake of this demo, say that, oh, we're actually going to reuse the MSUS interest form. So let's double clicking that up, double checking that I've actually copied it. So we're coming into Pulse Stories. We're just editing a blog post. We're deciding where we want to place the ad. We think that we want it to go somewhere over here, so we're pulling up a code block. We are getting rid of what's in there already, and we're just pasting. And you can see there's not proper formatting in here. That is okay. There is code that's going to be applied when this is actually run that will show that. And then you have the ability to kind of take this and drop it. We could drop it in so it shows up next to this one. And what's happening now is that this text will flow around our ad. Or maybe we want the ad next to her pictures. So you can do that too. So we'll do a quick save. And I'm just going to grab the URL slug on this so that we can look at it. So we have to grab all of this, plus we're going to have to type /blog stories. So let's do that. Chat, we'll say, Paul should come in here for me already. And I'm going to say blog stories. And then I'm going to paste in. And then you can see that there's our ad and our pop-up. So it's really, really easy. Okay, so I'm actually going to jump into content and just delete my code block. So when you're done using the pop-up, you can just delete the code block and save. And it's like it was never there. Okay, just a few more quick notes on how it actually functions. So there are two pieces of code that run the pop-up. If you come into settings and advanced and code injection, and you scroll down to the footer code injection, you can see here's our related post plugin, and then here is the promo Lightbox. You should never, ever, ever need to come in here. This is coding unless you are someone who is good with JavaScript and you want to change the behavior of how that Lightbox opens. You maybe would come in here, but the one place where you really might want to come is, and let me actually open up that article with the blog post in it just so I can show you really quickly how this works. Okay, so now I'm just going to open this up. So say you thought that the large headline was just too large, or the medium headline, since we're already on the medium headline, was just too large, or maybe you wanted to use a lighter colored background, or just make these text white, like any of those design elements. We would come into Design, Custom CSS, and then you would want to scroll, and it's all the way down at the bottom right now, but you will see that here is information about the ad. And I don't know why I call it ad button, but so you can change the background here for the ad. You could change this to black, and you can see it changes right away. The ad class refers to this box that everything sits down. Ad headline refers to this area. Controls spacing, alignment, and color. Ad headline, these control the size. So if you remember, large is going to be 2 times the base font size. Medium, which we're using, so say you wanted medium to be a little smaller, you can see that changes it up. I would, instead of changing that there, I would go back into the code and just set ad headline to small. I would avoid changing these also because not only will it change this ad, it will change every other ad you've created using this. And then finally, ad form refers to this button area, and you could actually add some text above the button if you typed it in the section of the code that says add form. And then add button controls the coloring and the layout of the button, the weight of the font. So that is where you would make those changes. In addition to the ad, we do have the function that pops up the window, and that is this Lightbox plugin, which we don't need 2 of those. This Lightbox plugin sets the background color for the pop-up. So that light purple that displays back there is this piece, and also determines how, for different device sizes, how wide this box is going to be. The one thing that's concerning here is the button is off the bottom, so maybe this does need a little more tweaking. Max width for this smaller size, maybe it needs to be 700, but in any case, what we do want to do, our button's still off, so I would actually maybe recommend making this headline smaller or something, rather than mess with these sizes of the pop-ups. And this is for how big it is on a bigger screen. Okay, so that is the whole walkthrough for how to use the help pop-up. Please do let me know if you have any questions.